roaming around in a forest. A tiger jumped onto them. One of the fellows is very active. Can you hear me? One of the fellows is very active, so he got up to a tree and he climbed the tree. The other fellow didn't know what to do, so he fell on the ground and pretending to sleep. Then the tiger came to him, and then this fellow whispered something to the tiger, and the tiger went away. So the friend came down and asked him, "What did you whisper in tiger's ears?" He said, "Can anybody guess? What did he tell?" Sorry?
We didn't need that kind of friend who ran away living in
I'm not able to hear.
We didn't need that kind of friend who ran away we ran away like Thomas friend in front of a tiger. Like in any danger.
Uh-huh. So anyway, what he said was that he has to give a speech after lunch. After lunch, he has to give a speech. Then the tiger ran away. Now, do you agree that new technologies are changing our lives? Right? So how do we respond? Any answers? You have this one. I'm not able to hear them, so I'm not able to hear what they are saying. So. Oh, okay, okay.
There's a box of chocolates. If you feel the students answer the questions and you want to give them, you can provide it them.
Okay. So I think this is like a tiger coming after you, the new technology. So what should you whisper so that the new technology is not going to eat you? Now, my lecture is sort of very, very general. It's a managerial kind of lecture. And so I would like to first see how the technologies are affecting not only our lives. I mean, basically, we used to use desktops, now laptops afterwards. Now your mobile can do anything that you want. People used to write checks, go to the bank. Now Paytm or ATM does everything that you need. Now you used to pay a lot of money for international calls. Now WhatsApp does this. You have Facebook, you can have video calls and all that. I mean, there's a lot of things that are changing. And as a kid, a lot of kids have this problem of gaming. There are a lot of games, and the kids don't watch any TV anymore. They basically are to themselves with their cell phone. So most of the parents are afraid to give the kids their cell phone because this has become a perpetual problem for parents and grandparents. So I'm a grandparent. I have 5 grandkids, and they come to me, "Grandfather, give me your mobile." Once I give them, and when it comes back to me, it is not what I have given them. It is something which is very different, and I install all kinds of things inside, and I get all kinds of alerts later. And sometimes they ask me for the password for my credit card, and I get alerts as well. So basically, things have changed the way people live and so on. So how are we going to address this? Which is the one that changes? Yes. Okay. So what I'll do is this. that what are the new technologies that are disrupting the business? I mean, some of them you have studied in very detail, well, like big data, IoT, and all that. And also, there is the rise of startups. So when I passed my BE, I had offers from BEL, HMT, HAL. I don't know whether you've heard of those companies. They are very big companies. And some of my friends joined those companies and they have become directors, CEOs, and all that, and then retired, like me. But afterwards, my students, when they finish their degree, MS or MSc or PhD, they were offered jobs in TCS, Infosys, Oracle, and other places, and so on. And now, if an ME student goes from here, where does he join? Amazon, Google, or some startup, and so on. So there is a rise of startups and people's mentality. Any of you would like to join HAL? No? You don't know what is HAL, right? Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. BAL, Bharat Electronics Limited. They are not fascinating companies anymore. Political, social, economic changes. There are a lot of political, social, economic changes that are happening. And like, for example, after Trump's election, any of you are affected by Trump? You know who is Trump? Yes. He's canceling all the H-1B visas and all that. He's limiting. He's doing so many things. So that will disrupt the businesses. And similarly, there is what is called Brexit. Have you heard of it? Brexit. The UK has this one. So you may ask me, why is all this affecting us? We are students. But you are students, you are going to look for jobs tomorrow, right? So if you want to have jobs, where do you have jobs? In businesses. If the businesses collapse, there are no jobs. And this is what happened for IT now. IT used to be 4 million, 5 million people have jobs, and now it has come down. So how do you innovate as kids who are really brilliant and who are young? How do you innovate so that you innovate for India, in India, by Indians? But of course, my suggestion is to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur doesn't mean you have startup, but your thinking is entrepreneurial thinking. Wherever you work, and of course, come close. So what are the new technologies? I don't know how many of you heard of Industry 4.0. Industry 1.0, where the steam engine and all that is the first industrial revolution. Now that has created, previously all the jobs were in agriculture. And first industrial revolution has created jobs in manufacturing. Second industrial revolution in mass production. Have you heard of Henry Ford? Henry Ford has started what is called assembly line. Assembly line is something which makes the production of automotive cars very efficient. And because of that, the car was accessible to all the middle class. So people were able to purchase cars, and once there are cars, then there were highways, roads, malls, and it has created a history. So 1913, 1913 is a big year in the history of the world. That is the automation manufacturing has come through that industrial revolution. Then come the third one with IT. It's about 90s, 85, 90s. You have all the ERP, MRP, all these packages that has come in, SAP, Oracle, and all these companies, they have their own packages. And Infosys to TCS to Wipro, and all these companies, they have become big, mediators between the software and the companies. So if you have any companies, then people used to do that. And then came the current, this one is called IoT, or cyber physical systems. In other words, you can put a device either in a human part or in any or your cell phone or anywhere, and then you can trace where it is, and it can give signals. For example, you have a turbine. You know what a turbine is? The rotating wheels. In the rotating wheels, the turbine goes through, say, water, power generator. It goes through water and then it gets rusted. And if you have an aircraft has an aircraft engine, right? Aircraft engine has also some kind of a wheel which rotates. But then if this gets rusted, and then if the wheels don't rotate, like technical snags and other things happen, then you are in danger. So what they do is every 3 months, 4 months, they take away the engine and repair it and so on. This is called maintenance. You can put devices on the frames of these engines so that it can tell you when it is going to fail. If there is any problem with this, there is a lot of rust on the blade, and if it is going to fail, it is going to give you a signal. And similarly about heart problems and all that, you can give health to this one also. That is the Industry 4, and that is what we are in today. And most of it, what I usually say is the cell phone of today is like the assembly line of or the car of 1930. Okay, so what are the new technologies? I mean, you know all this: mobile internet, IoT, cloud, big data analytics, 3D printing. Have you heard of it? How is it going to change your life? If, you, if you're having an automobile, say of 1990 or year 2000 or 2010, you have to get the spare parts. And spare parts are 10 times more expensive than the original parts, although they are manufactured at the same time. Now you can manufacture those things using 3D printing, jewelry, so many things are happening. So it is basically the service industry is getting disrupted. Have you heard of blockchain? Yes. And Bitcoin? How many of you have Bitcoins? Wow, that's great. Don't tell. Anyway, blockchain is basically, there are several things that are getting disrupted using blockchain. Can you say what are those things? Contracts, smart contracts, and then banks, governance. I mean, you don't require Modis and others soon. You can govern by yourself. This is called but the whole finance, all the activities are going to be getting disrupted. All the big intermediaries we have, like the banks, healthcare, hospitals, all these things soon will be disrupted. Of course, digital wallets and drones, they deliver things to your house and so on, and driverless cars and trucks. So driverless cars is a reality. There are countries where driverless cars are, you can drive this one and all that. But so it is changing our social environment. How is it changing? Agriculture, manufacturing, education, healthcare, entertainment have changed drastically. New technologies, mobile internet, etc., are creating new industry at the cost of old businesses. What is happening to the old business? For example, you want to buy a book. There is Barnes and Nobles, right? Barnes and Nobles. Do you go there and buy it? You go to Amazon or Flipkart and buy it, right? Why? They will deliver it to you at home and they will give you some discount and all that. So what is happening to the old businesses? Similarly, Flipkart will deliver groceries to you on this one. Tomorrow, Amazon is going to do it. What is happening to all the grocery stores, all the rickshawalas who will sell groceries at your house? They bring them to your house. What happens to all of them? So those big industries are going to die. For example, there are industries like Kodak. Have you heard of Kodak? Kodak has gone bankrupt. And have you heard of Toys R Us? Children like toys, but Toys R Us goes bankrupt. So why is this happening? Can you explain why is this happening? And if you're in industry, you're working for an industry, if this happens, then what happens to this one? And there is the jobs are getting lost. Millions of jobs are getting lost, and people are taking away. Startups in every area. There are startups used to go. If you want a loan, where do you go? Huh? Where do you go for a loan? Bank, right? You think startups will go for a loan into the bank? No. There are basically VCs, venture capitalists who will give them loans. But why are venture capitalists giving them loans? They don't know whether these startups will succeed or not. This is called casino finance. It's like playing cards. Out of 10 startups, if one gains, then you make your money. Agriculture is changing the scenario. Algorithmic decision making. What is algorithmic decision making? There is an algorithm that makes the decisions. For example, you are on the board of a company. You want to decide to give funds for a particular startup. So you go through all the rigmarole and then finally decide. An algorithm also has a voting right. It has all the information. It will listen. It has videos, audios, and all that. It will say, it has also voting right. It will say yes or no. So there are basically algorithmic decision making is this one. WhatsApp and Twitter have replaced the telephone and email, right? And then, you see Trump and Modi, they are giving all these Twitters saying that we don't, and that is considered to be official. This one. If Trump twitters, then it's supposed to be official. Use of machine learning AI is becoming the norm. Recently, the Niti Aayog has developed some kind of a report on how to use this. Past 10 years, prices of natural resources have increased. Extraction has become. This is one thing that one has to worry. What are natural resources? Water, right? Power, food. The prices of all these have increased enormously. The extraction of these things, mining, has become very expensive. Last 10 years. Before that, it used to be water is plenty, is available. So you just use and waste the water. But now in Bangalore, for example, I don't get water for 3 days in a week. So I have to buy from somewhere. So this is one of the things for youngsters to respond, because when you become another 10 years, there are going to be a lot of changes that are going to happen. So of course, all of us know big data enables this one. When I was doing research on manufacturing in the 80s, 90s, I was using numerical data. But now there is audio, visual, text, and all the data people use, and they make decisions for this. Have you heard of sharing economy? In olden days, people want to own things. You want to own a house, you want to own a car, and your car sits 95% of the time in the garage, right? So why do you need a car? If you need a car, it's because of convenience. It's at home and you can drive whenever you want and so on. Now Uber will come within 5 minutes, whatever may be the time. So why do you need a car? And parking parking is the biggest problem here. And then not only in Bangalore, in most places. So that's where there is another thing called Airbnb. Have you heard of Airbnb? Have any of you used Airbnb? If you want to go someplace, say Italy or someplace, the five-star hotels are very expensive. These are guest rooms where people like you and me, they have guest rooms in the houses and they rent it out for you. And also they can give you lunch, they can give you breakfast, whatever, at a cost. So you can be a paying guest. And of course, trading is a common thing. I mean, this is called bartering in olden days, but now it has become this one. So the social media and mobile technologies have created this what is called sharing economy. So youngsters, if you are in Bangalore, you are living in Malleshwaram or something, if you are working for an IT company in Indiranagar, it takes 2 hours to go commute every day. Well, if you want a house, you have to commute. On the other hand, if you don't want a house, you can rent a house wherever your nearby job and you need not have to. So there are conveniences of both. So product asset ownership is not important. So what should you own now? Not assets. If you are a company, I'll show you for companies as well. If you are a company, for example, you take Maruti, you take any of these big companies, TVS or anything, whatever, they have factories, they have a lot of land, they have machines, they have people, they have R&D centers, they own everything. You take Uber, what does it own? Nothing. Uber has one site which is maintained by somebody else. It's on cloud, and cloud is maintained by Equinix or IBM. And it has some 100 people working in the Bay Area. That's it. So, but I mean, I'm not saying that they don't have any other resources, but the resources are not products and physical resources. So, digital chef. Have you heard of digital chef? Supposing there are a group of people coming from all over the world or all over India, and somebody likes rice, somebody rice with the meat, somebody has something meat and all that. How do you create a menu that is satisfying everybody? And also there is an algorithm is on the board of directors. It's called Deep Knowledge Ventures. GE can predict failure of gas turbines. In retail, focus is shifting from sales and marketing to predictive analytics. So if you go and type something as you are this one, they know whether you are going to buy it or not. So, and they are all recommender systems and all that. So machine intelligence is substituting human brain. Now, as a human being, you have legs, hands, eyes, ears, and brain. Now, robots can substitute your legs and hands, and also ears and eyes. And if machine learning and AI substitutes your brain, what is left? Is there anything that you can think of that the humans have? Huh? Genetics? Genetics? Well, that can be imitated. Huh? Yeah, it's changing education. Now you are all in education field. Yeah, it's changing education. What do you think? It's basically, it's an assembly line or stage only. I'm on the stage. I'm sage on the stage. I'm telling you, irrespective of what your background is. So whether it is elephant, ape, or something, it says you climb the tree. So the examinations are like that. And of course, there are a lot of things like MOOCs, sports, and other things coming. Corporate learning is shifting to virtual learning and all that. So, and it is becoming technology intensive. You used to have books, and now the schools supply only either a laptop or an iPad with all the notes or something. You can give all your emails, submit your this one using that website. So there is this rise of startups. There are a lot of young startups in India. Now startups are taking away business from large companies. So if you are working for a large company, what do you do? I am raising questions here. Do you have answers? If you don't have answers, then what will you do tomorrow? Which company? So why is a startup making money? And why are big companies not making money? And why are they going disrupted? Yeah,
They are focusing on the latest technologies while big companies are doing their bigger products more.
that's right. But they are also product intensive. They have a lot of human labors and so on. So that's what makes them, they have to spend a lot of money on this. But can they leave whatever they are doing and imitate what the startup is doing? Why can't? Why not? That's right. So basically, I have a business. I have the market. So, like Kishore Biyani says, "Oh, the startups, e-commerce won't work, and so on, and all that." I mean, that is his thinking, but it's not this one. Similarly, all the universities think, "Oh, I don't need PowerPoint slides. I can write on the blackboard and so on." And you will see, at least most of the places. I mean, I don't advise you to do that, but most of the places, the attendance is less than 50% in the classes. If you are in third year, fourth year, fifth year of BE, then the attendance goes down and so on. So why? People are not interested in the blackboard, they are interested in the knowledge, all right. They can get the knowledge elsewhere. So startups have become new corporate R&D. So earlier I used to have an R&D center. Now, instead of that, I will fund a startup and say, look, whatever you get is the one that this one. So I need not have to go and pay for their medical expenses, pay for their travel, this and that, and all that. But I can have this one. And startups collaborate with large companies because they get a lot of data. Now, this is one interesting slide, which is how much time will it take? How many years will it take to get 50 million users? That is 5 crore users. Telephone took 75 years. TV took 13 years, internet 4 years, Facebook 3.5, Angry Birds 35 days. Anybody plays Angry Birds here? Okay. So 35 days. So the time is shrinking. Let's see the next one. How many of you are above 20 here? Below 20? So you subtract your age from 30. Subtract your age from 30. You have so many years to become a billionaire. Why am I saying this? I'm saying the youngest billionaire was 28. You know him, right? It's the Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. He's the one, he was 28. And he married only after becoming a billionaire. So if you look at this one, how many days it takes to become a billion-dollar company. TCS recently advertised it took almost like 50 years, 60 years to have $10 billion or $15 billion and something. But AirWatch has 364. And so on. You can have, for example, Instagram, WhatsApp, and all this. They became billion-dollar companies. So, the point is, if you're a startup, how many companies in India have a billion-dollar valuation? Not many. Now, surviving in a world of rapidly changing technologies, need to run twice as fast even to remain at the same place. You need hard technical skills, soft skills, leadership, motivation, emotional maturity, communication skills, etc., etc. So how many of you do you think have these soft skills? No, you need to have to. I am not going to test you. you think? So here is one. Then, good. 3. What is this? Half means what? Anyway, I'm glad you guys are thinking of these soft skills. Now, if you take a human being, how many kinds of, anyway, we'll come to that later. You have, what is this? Of course, she is Lakshmi. She is coming out of Sagar Mathanam. She is coming out of this one. And there is somebody here. There is somebody here. I'm sorry. There is something here which is Halahalam. So this is Shiva. Sorry. This is Shiva who is taking that. So whenever you churn something, new comes in. There is Amrutam as well as Halahalam that comes in. So we are seeing the better side of it. What are the good and bad of this digestion? Hacking, phishing, stealing data, passwords, blackmail using pictures, cyber crimes. You heard of black whale? Anybody plays the black whale game? Anybody plays black whale game? Teenagers are involved on their devices and spend less family time. Social networking with friends and family is diminishing. Is that right? Yes, right? You think you're socializing on social media, not in physical media. Making connections is easier. Life is more isolated. Cybersecurity becomes very important. Because if you use digital, oh my God, I'm exceeding my time. So cybersecurity becomes very important. You must have heard of Facebook, right? Facebook is under fire because of data security and all that, and so on. If financial style regulation comes in the finance, you have regulations, right? You have to do KYC and all that. If the same kind of regulations comes, if you want to have a Facebook account, what happens to Facebook? All the industry will die. Okay, so there are a lot of political and other changes that are happening. For example, the technology companies, if you take the 7 companies, Amazon, Flipkart, and all that, they are highly valued. And Nokia and others, their 90% of their value has come down the last 10 years. In 2000, 52% of the Fortune 500 companies have disappeared. The average age of companies is coming down from 61 years in 1958 to 18 in 2011. So, kids, if you want to join a company, you should look at the lifespan, right? Company is not, you cannot join a company and think that you will retire there. And it is 7 years by 2025. So that is the kind of companies are in trouble. So are the jobs. All companies employ more people than startups. You have, for example, this WhatsApp. It was sold for 15 billion to Twitter, right, or something. Can you guess how many employees it has? 50. And recently there was a big news item saying that they have increased the staff. You know by how much? 10. So there are political changes that is happening. Globalization is testing this one. And Trump fellow is saying, I don't know, this is they're going others. Trump is saying he wants to build walls with Mexico, Canada. He's fighting with Canada. Canada is such a nice country, nice country. Government has initiatives and so on. So basically political risk in terms of trade, access to talent, regulatory challenges, visas, this is going to affect the businesses. This is very, very important thing, societal changes. Wealth concentration has increased. Why do you think Trump got elected? It's because he said, look, I'm going to stop immigration. I'm going to raise, make in America and, work in America, being Americans and all that and so on. He made all these promises because he's trying to keep all of them. And basically that is the one that has given him all the votes. So wealth concentration, 1% of the people have 50% of the assets. 70% of US workforce has no wealth wage increase in the past 4 decades. So, this kind of statistics are horrifying in India. Similar statistics is true in India. We have 800 million people who are 7th grade or less. They live in villages, and they're basically, you call them farmers and all that. Jobs are affected by digitization. So there is escalating political risk. So all of us as companies, we are used to looking at companies as technology oriented. So I know how to do this, I have these APIs, I know how to do the blockchain mining and so on and all that. But that's fine. But you're affected by Trump, you're affected by Modi, you're affected by other things that are happening. So you better be careful. And this is another thing. The natural resources, during the last century, prices of natural resources all fell. Last century. The past 10 years, all the highs were wiped out. You can see that the rupee value is going down against the dollar. That's because the oil price is going up. Today, demand is soaring. New sources are scarce. Extraction is expensive. This is true for water. Shortage of one resource rapidly impacts others. For example, energy intensity of water is rising due to lowering of the groundwater table. The world could be entering into the era of high and volatile resource prices. why am I telling all these problems? I'm telling them because you should use your intelligence. You are the young guys. You should use your intelligence to solve some of the problems. I'm going to raise some of those issues. So this is where, with all these problems, if you want to solve innovation in India, by Indians, let's look at what are the things that large young population, everybody says, oh, we have below 25 years, how many people and all that. 29 states, 18 languages, need services that improve resource efficiency. Your infrastructure is bad, and most of the population are this one. 25% of the population are poor and malnutrition. You know what malnutrition means? They get into a disease, and that's it. Of course, if you look at the food security index, we are behind Uganda. Human Development Index, we are 134 out of 187. Malnutrition, 47% of Indian children under 5 are severely malnutrition. And at least in the statistics I have analyzed in Andhra Pradesh, 1 out of every 1,000 children dies before the age of 5. But why all this? We have a lot of agriculture. Nature is very nice with us. For example, India has 52% of land is cultivable. 52% of the land is cultivable, whereas global average is 11%. Are we using it? No. Can you tell me in agriculture the most efficient country? You cannot guess. It's Egypt. And US has 10 times our resource efficiency, whereas China has 5 times. And all that. Has 20 agroclimates. If you look at the statistics, sunshine hours and days, you can produce anything you want. Mega center of biodiversity and all that. Livestock sector, India has 16% of cattle, 57% of buffalo, 17% of goat, 5% of sheep population. If you know, from Bombay has a big port, right? It exports a lot of things from Bombay port. You know the one item that is the maximum that goes from Bombay port? Huh? What? Meat. Buffalo meat. Buffalo meat is the one that goes from there. So what is innovation for India? It means AAA, affordability, availability, and awareness, food, housing, healthcare, education, employment. Think new ways of providing these living services using new technologies. Hi, you are worried about my. Am I exceeding my time? Huh? Okay. So, what are the issues before us? Scientific research currently is being curiosity driven. Right? You want to publish a paper, some conference, journal, and want to get your promotion and all that. It's not motivated to solve the immediate problems of the community. I'm sure you can get a patent if you solve the waste management problem in Bangalore. If you solve the water resource problem in Bangalore. If you can increase the agriculture in India by 10 times. But somehow this doesn't come. And initiatives such as smart cities can be targets for open innovation and so on. How should school, college institutions modernize themselves with the improvement, employability of the people? So the issue is be an entrepreneur. Job seeking, change your mindset from job seeking to job creation. migration to localization. I want to migrate to Bangalore. I want to go to New York and all that too. I want to improve my local. This one. Resource usage to resource creation. I want to use electricity and then this one. So I have, there is solar, this one coming. How do I create solar power? And self-promotion to community welfare. Product ownership to service sharing. For example, you have heard of Satoshi, right? His paper on the web, he never published it, right? How many companies it has created, how many jobs it has created, how many trillions of dollars people have invested on the Bitcoin. Take that as an example. So, I mean, I'm not saying you need not have to publish or anything, but you do. It's not always the traditional way. When things are changing, you are following non-traditional ways, you should, this thinking also should change. Questions: what technology can help job creation? Resource minimization while fulfilling the needs. Can it be a research question? Can you get a PhD for this? When you have a startup, the answer is a big yes. What kind of educational training are needed to enable this goal? Can big industries be bifurcated into small-scale industries, spread across the country to create jobs and increase the efficiency instead of having steel factory in Jamshedpur or something? Can you have small steel factories all over? You can save on gases and transport. You can also create jobs locally and so on. I mean, I'm giving steel as one of the examples, but anyway, capitalize on natural resources. You have water, land, sunshine, human. And for smart agri construction, land utilization, smart grids, water, power, and so on. I mean, I don't have solutions, but you certainly can give solutions. Develop social capital. We have three kinds of capital. Can you guess what they are? Of course, money. Human capital. Social capital. Of course, I always, better connected people enjoy higher returns. You can say, oh, he's my classmate, he is basically, butters everybody, and that's why he became a CEO and all that, and so on, right? Well, I did a lot of papers, but I didn't get it. So it is not what you do that counts. It is whom you know that counts. So your connections are very, very important. This is called partner network. That's important. So try to develop social capital. African poet, if you can walk, if you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. So if you are a college president, you can be a party president. If you are a good researcher, you can be a good candidate for a Nobel Prize. Be ambidextrous. What is ambidexterity? Both hands. That is called chimera. It has several heads, several this one and all that. So India needs large number of high quality researchers and graduates with problem solving abilities, communication skills, and industrially technical strength. This will be savior on the else of the country. So what are the conclusions? Be expert in an area, know your surroundings, gain confidence you are no less than others. That's very important. Have a long-term map of your career. Network with leaders and industries. As a student, as an young person, if you want to go and talk to somebody, they will just welcome. Don't feel shy. Be aware of societal and country needs. Good luck. See you as a PM or a Nobel laureate, industrialist, or a reformer. Thank you.